Hey everyone, welcome to Mythology Explained. In myth and legend, there exist forces even gods must answer to. Time, destiny, but above all, fate. A force so powerful that even God and Satan had to answer to it. But what if I told you that it was three beings who were responsible for fate itself? Not gods of thunder or war, not angels or demons, but three women sitting beside a spindle, spinning, measuring, and cutting the thread of life. They didn't rule with armies. They didn't smite with lightning. They ruled with something far more terrifying: inevitability. In Greek mythology, they were called the Moirai, or more commonly, the Fates, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. It was said that even Zeus, the king of the gods, was said to obey their design. And if fate is absolute, then even the most powerful beings across all myths and religions, even the divine and the damned, are not exempt. So today we're going to explore the ancient idea that there are forces above all others, and why the Fates may be the only beings that neither heaven nor hell could escape. Let's dive into it. Unlike most deities, the Moirai weren't born with a clear mythology, or even a single origin. According to Hesiod's Theogony, there are two competing versions of their creation. One claims they were born of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night, a force even older than the gods of Olympus, and the other suggests they were the daughters of Zeus and Themis, titaness of divine law and order. But regardless of their origin, their power was never questioned. Their name, Moirai, means portions or shares, and that's exactly what they controlled. The share of life allotted to every mortal and god. They didn't punish, they didn't bless, they simply assigned, coldly and inevitably, the destiny each being was meant to fulfill. And each of the three sisters had a role. Clotho, the spinner, drew out the thread of life, beginning existence itself. Lachesis, the measurer, determined how long and how eventful that thread would be. And Atropos, the interminable, severed it, ending life at its destined moment. Together they formed the most terrifying triumvirate in all of mythology, not because they were cruel, but because they were final. You might be quick to point out that Zeus, king of Olympus and ruler of gods and men, was sometimes called Zeus Moiragetes, meaning Zeus, guide of the fates. And at first glance, this rather authoritative-sounding title suggests that Zeus could steer the course of destiny itself. But make no mistake, this title only implied guidance, not mastery, influence, not control. Because even Zeus, in all his power, could only nudge fate and never truly command it. And I think the very fact that Zeus required a special epithet to define his relationship to the Moirai speaks volumes. It wasn't Zeus, master of the fates, it was guide, a subtle but crucial distinction. Even he, the thunder-wielding sovereign of Olympus, had to work with the fates, not command them. In myth, there are rare moments when the fates show flexibility, where their course can be influenced through cunning or persuasion. They could be bargained with, delayed, or even deceived, but only under exceptional circumstances. For example, in the tale of Alcestis, the devoted wife of King Admetus herself sacrificed drew the attention of the gods. When Heracles descended to the underworld to rescue her, he was able to wrest her soul back from the brink of death, challenging the finality the fates had imposed. Another story tells of Apollo, who got the fates drunk in order to save a friend, manipulating their decree through divine mischief. But these were exceptions, not rules. In myth, they fought alongside the gods in the Gigantomachy, slaying two giants, Agrios and Thune, with bronze cudgels. They even tricked Typhon, the most monstrous being in existence, weakening him with false promises and leaving him vulnerable to Zeus. But no matter their cleverness, their influence, or their mythic origins, one truth remains. The Moirai did not serve gods. They served fate, and fate answered to no one. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Greeks weren't the only culture to believe in a force above the gods. In fact, across countless mythologies, from Norse to Roman, to even elements of Hindu belief, there exists a common idea: that destiny is not something gods create, but something they too must obey. This suggests something deeply human, an ancient understanding that no matter how powerful a being becomes, there's always something greater. In Norse mythology, this role is played by a trio of powerful beings, the Norns. Like the Moirai, the Norns were not thunder gods or warlords. Instead, they wove destiny, quietly, unflinchingly. It was said that the Norns determined a person's fate at the moment of birth, but their role didn't end there. They were also the caretakers of Yggdrasil, the world tree, the very structure of reality. It was the job of the three Norns, Urd, fate, Verdandi, becoming, and Skuld, obligation, to maintain the root with a mixture of its water and sacred mud, keeping the world tree alive. This task is vital. Animals and monsters constantly try to destroy Yggdrasil. Nidhogg gnaws from below, goats and stags devour the leaves from above, and a swarm of serpents attacks its roots. The Norns' efforts act as a cosmic resistance against decay and chaos, just as their weaving of fate represents an attempt to impose structure on the unknown. And like the Moirai, the Norns didn't just deal with fate in the abstract. They shaped the lives of individuals. At birth, lesser Norns, some divine, some elven, and some dwarven, would visit each person and determine the course of their life. And the fate of each person rested on a single unknowable moment. Which kind of Norn would visit you at birth? Would it be one of the benevolent ones who bestowed prosperity, strength, and honor, or a malevolent one who dealt out hardship, suffering, and obscurity? Because not all Norns were the same. So far, we've established that both the Greeks and the Norse imagined fate as something that stood apart from the gods, something older, colder, and more absolute. And in both cases, the figures who governed destiny weren't divine rulers, but mysterious weavers and watchers, unmoved by prayer and untouched by power. But what about other belief systems? Was this idea of a force beyond the gods unique to mythological traditions? Or did it find its way into religions too? To answer that, we need to look at one of the most widely followed belief systems in the world, Christianity, and ask a simple question. Is there anything in the Christian tradition that mirrors the Moirai or the Norns? Any force or figure that even God must answer to? And the short answer, no. Unlike these mythologies, Christianity does not separate fate from divinity. There are no spinning women, no cosmic weavers, no ancient trio existing above or beyond God's will. In Christianity, fate, if it exists at all, is synonymous with God's plan. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. There is no force above him, and no being, angelic or demonic, that governs destiny apart from him. But this doesn't mean the idea of a fixed path doesn't exist. In fact, entire theological systems like Calvinism are built around the idea of predestination, the belief that God has already determined who will be saved and who will be damned, that the course of every life and every soul has already been written. There's also the concept of divine providence, the belief that God is constantly guiding the world and its people, subtly steering events according to his will, not through force or fear, but through purpose. And in the book of Revelation, we find the image of the book of life, a celestial ledger in which the names of the saved are recorded. Once again, it's not the fates writing this book, it's God himself. So while Christianity certainly engages with the idea of destiny, it does so through the lens of a single omnipotent being, rather than external entities or cosmic mechanisms. But whatever belief system you subscribe to, one thing remains constant. Fate is a force that can't be bribed, reasoned with, or outrun. Whether it's spun from thread, carved into stone, or written in a divine book, fate represents one terrifying, awe-inspiring truth. Some things are simply meant to happen. And the most powerful force of all isn't strength, or wisdom, or will, but inevitability. And that's it for this video. What video do you want me to cover next? Let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, no one escapes the Moirai.